Every 40 seconds, someone has a stroke, but most strokes don't have to happen. In fact, researchers estimate that up to 80% of strokes are preventable. Beyond outlier cases, the secret lies in small everyday habits that protect your brain and heart. So today, we're diving into 8 simple lifestyle habits that can drastically lower your stroke risk. You'll also discover a critical step for traveling, common medications that you should be careful with, and a game-changing habit that not only reduces stroke risk, but also reduces joint pain. The first incredibly important habit is to move every hour. Think about the last time you were on a long flight. You finally land at your dream vacation spot, step off the plane, and within hours you feel pain in your leg. Or maybe you've heard of someone who had a stroke mid-flight. It's terrifying, but this doesn't just happen on flights. It happens every day, to millions of people who sit for far too long. Long periods of sitting slow circulation, increasing your risk of blood clots, and over time, a sedentary lifestyle becomes one of the biggest risk factors for stroke. Even if you exercise for an hour in the morning, it doesn't erase the effects of sitting for the rest of the day. That's why consistent movement, even small amounts, is key. Set a reminder to stand up and move for at least 1 minute every hour. If you have a smartwatch, many of them will even remind you to do this. And if you're sitting for long stretches, whether at a desk, watching TV, or on a long flight, make it a habit to stretch your legs, roll your ankles, and move your arms. Even small movements help keep circulation going. Taking a short walk after meals is especially fantastic for circulation, as well as keeping blood sugar under control. In fact, a massive study followed the habits of nearly 40,000 women. It found that those who walked briskly for a total of 2 hours per week had a 30 to 40% lower risk of stroke. Of course, more intensive exercise has an even greater benefit, but even a quick stroll around the block can make a huge long-term difference. Next, how often do you floss? That's right, studies show that gum disease is linked to a higher risk of stroke. The reason? Inflammation. Bacteria responsible for gum disease can enter the bloodstream through inflamed or bleeding gums, potentially leading to blood clot formation or arterial narrowing in the brain. So you really want to take care of your teeth. Of course, brush regularly at least twice a day. Beyond that, you want to floss daily, use an antibacterial mouthwash, and don't skip dental checkups. Regular professional cleanings get rid of plaque buildup and catch problems early. Next, sauna can have some surprising benefits. A sauna might sound like a luxury, but it can be a game changer. Research from Finland found that people who used a sauna 4 to 7 times per week had a whopping 60% lower risk of stroke. That's massive. When you sit in a sauna, your blood vessels dilate, your heart rate increases, and your body gets rid of excess fluids, similar to the effects of exercise. Research shows that regular sauna use lowers inflammatory compounds like C-reactive protein, which is linked to stroke, heart attack, and chronic pain conditions. That's right, if you struggle with muscle pain, joint pain, or arthritis, a sauna can be a godsend. The heat relaxes muscles, reduces stiffness, and improves blood flow to aching joints, all while helping to combat underlying inflammation. The key is to stay hydrated, because saunas make you sweat, and that can lead to dehydration. Aim for 10 to 15 minutes per session, and listen to your body. If you start feeling lightheaded or dizzy, get out and cool down gradually. If you have high blood pressure or heart issues, use extra caution. That doesn't mean you can't do it, but start with shorter sessions and avoid extreme heat. And if you're on blood pressure medication, talk to your doctor first. Some medications affect how your body handles heat, and you don't want any surprises. Next, get plenty of sun exposure. Most people think of sunlight as just a source of vitamin D, but when it comes to stroke risk, It does a lot more than that. Sunlight triggers the release of nitric oxide in your skin. This relaxes blood vessels, improves circulation, and lowers blood pressure, one of the biggest risk factors for stroke. In fact, research shows that people living in areas with less sunlight have a higher risk of stroke, likely due to their lower nitric oxide and vitamin D levels. About 20 minutes of midday sun is ideal, exposing as much skin as possible. Your arms, legs, chest, and back. The more surface area exposed, the better. Next, be careful with medications. Most people assume that if a medication is prescribed or available over the counter, it must be safe. But some common medications quietly raise stroke risk. Let's start with NSAIDs, like ibuprofen and naproxen. These are widely used for pain relief, but studies show they can increase stroke risk, especially at high doses, or with long-term use. Essentially, NSAIDs block anti-clotting chemicals called prostacyclin. This, in turn, gives you a higher risk of blood clots. Now, some NSAIDs are worse than others. Diclofenac, a high-dose ibuprofen, have been linked to the highest stroke risk, while naproxen may be slightly safer, but still carries risks. If you need pain relief, acetaminophen is considered by most experts to be a safer alternative. For chronic pain, topical NSAID gels or patches can be a better option to medication because they don't enter the bloodstream as much. Now, decongestants can also be a problem. Cold and allergy medications that contain pseudoephedrine can significantly increase blood pressure. If you already have hypertension, these may push your blood pressure into the danger zone. Whenever possible, use natural alternatives like saline sprays, antihistamines without stimulants, or steam inhalation to clear sinuses safely. Likewise, only take aspirin if you really need it. For years, we were led to believe that an aspirin a day keeps the doctor away, but newer research has overturned that advice. Recent studies show that daily low-dose aspirin may increase the risk of brain bleeds. That's why the latest guidelines say healthy adults over 60 should not take aspirin for prevention, and for people aged 40 to 59, it should only be used if a doctor recommends it. However, if you've already had a stroke, heart attack, stents, or have arterial fibrillation, aspirin is still important, because in these cases, the benefits outweigh the risks. The problem is, many people haven't gotten the memo and are still taking aspirin just in case. If you're not sure whether you should be taking it, talk to your doctor. Finally, some blood pressure medications may actually increase stroke risk. For example, beta blockers like atenolol and propranolol have been shown to potentially increase stroke risk by causing greater fluctuations in blood pressure. Newer medications tend to be better for reducing stroke risk. That includes things like thiazide diuretics, ACE inhibitors, ARBs, and long-acting calcium channel blockers. Now, it's important to say that you should never stop taking medication based on what you see in a YouTube video. If you're taking any of the medication we just covered and you're concerned, talk to your doctor. And if you feel like your doctor isn't giving you the answers that you deserve, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. Okay, before we get to our top 3, is this useful? If so, please click the like button. And if you haven't already, click subscribe and turn notifications on to see new videos as we release them. Okay, at number 3, Mediterranean style eating. At its core, this way of eating is built around whole, unprocessed foods. Lots of vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, fish, and healthy fats. These provide antioxidants, fiber, and essential nutrients that keep blood vessels strong. At the same time, cutting back on processed grains and toxic vegetable oils takes stress off your cardiovascular system. Now, certain foods stand out more than others. Extra virgin olive oil is a cornerstone of this diet. It's packed with healthy monounsaturated fats and polyphenols, natural compounds that protect blood vessels, improve circulation, and reduce inflammation. Nuts like almonds and walnuts also play an important role. They contain healthy fats, magnesium, and antioxidants that prevent clot formation. And then there's potassium, one of the most overlooked nutrients for heart health. Foods like bananas, leafy greens, beans, and avocados are some of the best natural sources of potassium, helping to keep blood pressure in check. At number 2, stay hydrated. When you don't drink enough water, your blood becomes thicker and more prone to clotting. Staying hydrated keeps blood flowing smoothly, reduces strain on the heart, and helps regulate blood pressure. But it's also about drinking the right things. Sugary drinks, excessive alcohol, and even too much coffee can have the opposite effect. They dehydrate you, spike blood sugar, and cause inflammation, all things that you want to avoid. For coffee, research suggests 1 to 3 cups per day is generally safe and may even have some benefits. More than that can get you into danger territory, but of course, prioritize water first and foremost. And at number 1, timing can make a huge difference. Most people focus on what they eat, but when you eat is just as important. Intermittent fasting, or simply extending the time between meals, has been shown to significantly lower stroke risk. If you're constantly eating, your insulin levels stay high. This leads to insulin resistance, which is linked to higher blood pressure, increased clot risk, and chronic inflammation. But giving your body a break from food allows it to reset, lower insulin levels, and reduce oxidative stress. This doesn't mean you need to do extreme fasting. Even a 12-hour overnight fast, where you stop eating after an early dinner and don't eat until breakfast, is a significant improvement over late-night snacking. Dinner by 6 p.m. and breakfast at 6 a.m. would be a 12-hour fast. If breakfast is at 7 a.m., that extends it to 13 hours, which is even better. Many people today are experimenting with longer fasting windows. 16-hour intermittent fasting is becoming increasingly popular and has been shown to dramatically improve cardiovascular health. Some even go further, incorporating 24-hour or occasional 72-hour fasts, which some research suggests can trigger deep cellular repair. Of course, fasting isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. The key is to start gradually, listen to your body, and find what works for you. At a minimum, cutting out the late-night snacks and giving your body 12 hours to rest is a fantastic start. Ultimately though, your specific food choices determine whether your body fuels inflammation or promotes healing. So next, watch our video on the top 7 foods that help dissolve blood clots.